Just here. Just coming just now. Here's what we're going to do. I will share a few slides that talk about implementation of the MasterCraftsman apprenticeship and portfolio. So I will give you a framework of implementation. Then I'm going to have James. James will be showing some key highlights from the BILD cloud. To make sure that everyone knows what's there, and then we'll dialogue all together about it, and then we'll be finished up, okay? So that's the plan. So let me just move into some of the slides. I'm not going to go through any of that. Jeff talked about this already, but the MasterCraftsman Apprenticeship Portfolio whole system is a global system, it's a recognition system, and it's a scalable system around the world in order to shape the patterns of Christianity. So I said this a couple different times, but we have intentionally built this out of our roots. The roots we feel that God has been, and the Spirit of God has been putting us on a journey of. So I'm going to show 4 different areas here, but one, of course, is the whole ministry apprenticeship program. So in the top left, that is, Jeff, is that your first house? In the top left, right up here? This one right here? This one. Oh, yeah, right here. What is that? That's your first house. This is the picture that...
Only 910 square feet. And in the basement was finished, and we didn't have any money, so I had Ted Ward and Gene Getz shared the same room in the basement. If you can believe that. I mean, those guys, I wouldn't do that.
And they did it. This just shows a picture of in the farm in India, out on the veranda, out on the porch in the 80s of...
North India.
Of North India.
The farm that Carol came from.
The farm that Carol Cook came from, that ultimately said that what the ministry apprenticeship program that's happening here, there's plenty of pastors out in the villages that need it there. And that's really was the birth of what we're talking about today. I showed this picture I put this in here after yesterday. This is Don Johnson and his wife, not from yesterday. But from a few years ago, they've been here since 1960s. They've been here, and this is their 2 children who are also here. Lene is married to Eric, and their kids are here. Where's Isaac? Is Isaac in here? Isaac is outside. Well, he was here a moment ago, so he's the offspring. He's the 3rd generation that we're training. It's this little girl's son, who's a very big man. This is Darren, born 1 year after I was born. He was born 1978, August 30, 1978. And do you remember the young man who had the microphone, was walking it around, and felt compelled to say something about the gathering yesterday? That is this little boy's son. So what I'm trying to show you here is first generation, a faithfulness, a second generation, a faithfulness, and a third generation that you saw and heard from yesterday succinctly talk about the theological concept of the gathering. The other picture I have up here very intentionally is I have heard Jeff say over and over that he has no certificates. This is a certificate of license to Jeff Ronald Reed, the gospel ministry given in the ministry apprenticeship program. So this is proof positive that he does have a certificate
It's not a-
in the ministry, in the ministry apprenticeship program.
That's not a certificate. It's a license of ministry.
Certificate of license. It's a license of a certificate. Anyway, the main point is you see the ministry apprenticeship program, the great logo, and the great program that was. We're doing a very intentional job to keep track of our history. At some point, I have a concept that in that back corner, back over there, maybe in a new part, we'll have a whole history that shows our roots back from the beginning. This is Ted Ward. Jeff said in his talk that you saw Ted Ward yesterday. No, you saw Walt Kaiser yesterday. Ted Ward has been gone for 3 or 4. I don't know how long he's been gone, but Ted Ward really is helping us get towards, in those days, the roots of global assessments and recognition system. This is a picture of the history of what we're talking about today as far as the church that this grew out of. So it goes back to Jim Shirley, 1972. Desired, at the exception, a young man, 20 years old, Jeff desired to do his development, his equipping gifts in the context of church. The leaders at this Ontario Bible Church agreed to let Jeff train this way. He served as an assistant pastor at that time. Training leaders at the church down at the bottom here. In 1975, the elder says that Jeff formalized the training so that others in the church should actually go through the same thing. I went through an apprenticeship program, apprenticeship at a church I was at in Des Moines, which is just 30 minutes from here where the airport is. And I came out of that and said, I want to be trained, I want to help others be trained in the same way I was trained. And in a sense, that's what's happened here, is Jeff was trained this way. He said, I'm going to help others be trained in the same way. And in very simple roots, that's how all this began. Okay. But that has grown into, James will show you a global map here in a little while, but we have just a little spatial geographical map that shows all the dots of where people are actually in the cloud in the computer. There's lots of people that are not in the cloud in the computer, but this shows the ones that are actually in it. So it goes from that very, very simple beginnings to a stewardship and opportunity that God has given around the world. The other thing is a portfolio and a body of work. What I'm showing to you up here is I'm showing you this is towards a theology of Acts. So this is the Acts course before it's the Acts course. This is the Summer Institute of Bible Studies in Hindi. This is, I can't remember what this picture is right here.
Those are that section, keys to the establishment and expansion sections?
Oh, the six panels of Acts?
Yeah, the ones in 1983 that I've got notes to there, and it was in the Toward of Theology, is the same one that's in our Acts course today.
Yep. So, in the lounge that Jeff and I designed over at his place, very intentionally, we designed that place to have dialogues, to discuss things, to be a good environment to dialogue. On one particular area, there's Jeff's whole body of work. You see some of the old resources or previous resources, different forms of it, but this is the whole body of work. And the reason I wanted to show you that was to show you this next slide to say it's one conversation that's been being had. And at this point, again, in the cloud, as of whenever I made this, less than a few days ago, there were 41,000 people. Let me get my thing back up. 41,000 people in the cloud. That's just in the cloud. And there was almost 96,000 projects that people have worked on. So my only point in showing you that is just to say, when I read the sociology of philosophies, that first paper I talked about with the 3 S-curves, you have to see this as one conversation. It's one global conversation that's happening, and there's a a set of people, and this is what Jeff and I are always, and our elders are always talking to our churches about, is stewarding and being faithful to what God's given us to steward. Okay, that is my point before I get into, I guess I've got one more. This is Jeff was talking about the type 1 to 5. You see it up on the top there. The Indians and some others of you are really familiar with this. You've seen this many, many, many times. But today that then goes over to what we're talking about now as the MasterCraftsman 1 through 5. This is the singular chart. But it's the wrong one. Bloody. Okay. This is the wrong one, but just pretend it's right. There's 2 words that are wrong in here. It says program pathways and program resources. I meant to get that out. This is a different draft of it. But MasterCraftsman 1 through 5, apprenticeships, portfolios, pathways, and pathway resources, and global assessments and recognitions. Those are the 6 component pieces that Jeff was talking about outlined in his paper on one sheet of paper. And Jeff gave you all the building blocks of all those pieces that are on this one sheet of paper. That's what the white paper is. You got it? Can you make, I don't think I'm going to go through all of these 6 pieces. My next slides are to go all through those 6 pieces, but I think Jeff has given you enough of the nuggets already. I don't think I need to redo it. Don, you just missed your picture. You look different in the picture. You had hair on the top of your head, and you had hair above your upper lip. Do you have anything to say to that? Midlife crisis. I didn't realize you were in the mid part of your life. Oh, that picture was a midlife crisis. Okay. Hence the 2 children in the picture with you. Okay. So you've in the Global Center of MasterCraftsman, there's the MasterCraftsman Apprenticeship Portfolio pathways, and there's partner-created pathways as well. So Jeff brought you through this, MasterCraftsman 1 through 5, the apprenticeship, which is on the job, life work, portfolio. This is all the things. We gave this to the 3rd generation that was sitting here, and we said, this is the stuff that you need to be putting in there. This is kind of their checklist of things that they need to have a growing body of work in. Of course, the pathways. I'll talk more about the pathways in a minute. And what else do I want to tell you?
See, one of the keys, I think, to recognize is that it's highly motivational if they get the portfolio idea and they can start adding things to it. It's not that motivational to enter into a detailed prescribed program and just work your way through it.
Yeah.
That's a big decision, but it's not a big decision to get the idea, get the portfolio, and start taking something.
That's right.
You know,
real life doesn't follow a nice, easy step-by-step. Real life doesn't happen that way. Nowhere in real life does that happen. Real life is like this. This is how real life is. And what you're trying to do on that windy path is you're trying to get a body of work from your character development. That's working on your character. You're trying to tie yourself to the Scripture. You're trying to tie yourself to the culture. You're trying to understand the culture. So I have lots of papers in my own folio right here. This is my portfolio right here that I have where I talk about race. I talk about class systems. I talk about the caste system. In here, it starts off, I made a covenant with God in the wilderness. And so it starts off with was it the wilderness? It was northern Minnesota. I call that the wilderness. If the Kirkhoven guys were here, they would think that's funny because they're from northern Minnesota. But so that's how real life is, and that's what the portfolio is trying to follow. is trying to just help you gather that into one spot. Okay. Just a few other implementation things. This is an example. Some of you have already received this, of course, but this is an example of how the resources on the left, the recognition markers, and how they can up-level into other pathways. So you've seen this, but this is and on the right is some of the new pathways that we have. And so I'm trying to figure out, we got to figure out a different way to display this, because this is still not quite happy with this, because this still doesn't give the idea that you're just on this pathway and at certain points you get recognition. I'm thinking about drawing it in a path instead, like an actual meandering path like this, that has different portfolio and projects and folio works on it, different artifacts. And then at certain markers along the way, you can take all of that work, get it assessed, and have some sort of certificate, credentialed certificate, or whatever you have along the way. Because too much of what Jeff and I have talked about so much is that with programs and with the seminary system and our whole education system, you need a scope and a sequence, but educationally, you're never done learning. You're always renewing your mind every day, and so it's there. In that sense, there's not a beginning and an end. You can have markers along the way that give you like we've been talking about, but it's not a beginning and not an end of that process. So we gotta figure that out on how to draw that better. There's new pathways consistently added. I'm going to talk about some of the improvements very practically. I've talked a little bit about that already. But the credentialed recognition that we're providing in these pathways, just know, internally, we call this 2.75 version, internally. Jeff always accused me of using acronyms. Well, that's because his accusations are accurate. I do love to use acronyms, but I also love to I grew up in the technological age, and so I love using 1.0, 1.5, 2.0, 2.5. This is 2.75, the packet that's back there with the new pathways on it for masters, certificates, doctorate. That's 2.75. What you're used to is 1.0 and 2.0s. That's what the last 10 years have been. We just handed you 2.75, and we're on course to incorporate Mastering the Scriptures, and that'll be 3.0 versions. And then we have another version in mind, which is 3.5 version. So there's going to be, and I've talked with many of you partners this week that you're thinking of these pathways. And so there's always, the system is scalable now, much more scalable, and so there's going to be pathways added all the time. This is what the new certificate looks like. This is just exactly what it is. We removed on the left, you can see what we removed and what we added there to help that particular pathway. I'm going to go quite fast on this. This is the master's. You can see it's 25 less credit as far as the recognition is concerned, and you can see it integrates directly into the MasterCraftsman of Church Establishment and Expansion program that we've talked to all of you about. That is the focus of the next step for a lot of you. So this packet is available back there, right on the by the snacks. If you haven't seen this, this is what's different on this particular doctorate one as well. So what I want to do now is I want James to show a handful of things. So James, I'll hop off. I want everyone to see what some of this looks like in the cloud, because when Jeff said in 1992 that there's what was the word? An online resource center, an online resource bank, not bank. Well, I can't remember the word. Online resource, some sort of tracking, assessment, some sort of system that helps with this. You guys all know it as the BILD Cloud already, but I want to show you some of the pieces of it. James does not run a Mac, so this is going to be a paradigm shift for him. And this is my computer, so don't mess anything up. Those are words of encouragement for James.
Read that.
So, James, why don't you first show us we talk a lot about what's your field, mapping your network. So show us an example of how there's tools in here to help you map your field. Okay? So he's going to manage organizations. Am I like commentating? Am I like play-by-play? Yeah, no, I'll do play-by-play until I get tired of it, or until these guys say it's not helpful. Okay, Rakesh, we're going to use yours, it looks like. We are logging in as you. And now, and under Levi Ben Rakesh, there is abundant grace blessing. Okay, so this is just the abundant blessing. So this is one network under all of Lords and Royal, is that? That's correct. Okay, can you show the whole Lords and Royal first? Start where... So this is Rakesh's, and if you go to the network tab, I don't know what he said. He was telling you what to do, but I didn't hear what he said. Okay, there we go. This is all of Lords and Royals. Networks that are in there. You see in the bottom left, there's a little color code of networks, local network, and local organization. This is what the BILD coaches help you build, and you can build, but they help you build this. Okay, now we're going to jump into one of these, which you were doing abundant blessing. So he's going to go into one of these. Yep. So that's that particular network. They're under the Lords and Royals, and they have a Abundant Blessings as a local organization, and Yeshua Ministries, which is a local network. And so what can happen is you could dive into. There's 80 rows, so there's 80. If you look at the bottom, go to the bottom real quick. This is probably enough on this one, but there's 37 users underneath this one. Means there's 37 leaders in this one church network. That's what that means. If the one before where there was 80 at the bottom, that means there was 80 particular people in those two networks that were combined. Okay, let's show them. So there's a whole bunch of mapping stuff that's available in there. The other thing that, I don't know how you're going to show this, I guess, James, but this is all the house churches in the ABC, Abundant Blessing in Christ church. Not church, but network, excuse me. And then those, it gets down all the way to the people. The point is, you should be able to start with your network map, and you go all the way down from 5 to 1. All the way down, all those levels we're talking about. You can map it, and you can see it, and the tool supports. This is your tool, by the way. This is a tool that's created based off this whole system, but it's your tool. And what I mean by that is you use it as much as you want. But you can, the second thing I want to say in here, James, is you sign your own people up. We give you the ability, you sign up your own churches, you sign up your own church networks, you map your own church networks, you sign your people up. Can you show, is there anything helpful to show that you sign your own people up, or just know it? You go to manage users, you go to add a user. And so if you want a person to sign them up for XYZ pathway, you have the power to just sign them up. You have to know those things about them, their name, their email. They will get an email. Once they get an email, then they get a login to the whole system. And they get a dashboard like this, based off the program, the pathway rather, that you signed them up for. So, let's keep going. Show us Felix's shepherding tree. And what I mean by shepherding tree is this is Felix's, and this is all of the people that he has signed up in his system. So now, before we start showing you everything, These are all the shepherds. Eduardo. Hey, I know Eduardo. Start on the left there. Hold on, go back. Underneath one of his elders that are leading a church, a couple different churches, those are all the people that he's shepherding right now. In that little code, you see the Zeno de los, it says F-L-I-T, right there, that's fine too. That's a quick little code for foundations for life in the church, which is the first series of the first principles, and those little bars show the progress that person has made. So it gets very detailed, but look how deep it goes. It goes pretty deep. It has that many he's shepherding. That's how big his shepherding team is, perhaps, or that's how many that's in his church that he's taken through the program. But look at the bottom here. I can do it this way. Look at the bottom here. This is how far it goes. So start scrolling over. I don't know how many users are in here. It says that somewhere else, but you can start seeing, scroll up just a little bit there you go. So this is just, again, this is a tool that's showing all the people. We take establishment of every person very seriously. We're trying to give you the tools so that you can do that too. That's all I'm trying to show you here. So Felix and his network here has done an amazing job. They went to a church of churches 2 years ago, Javier? 3 years ago. And they have, they're 35 or 30-some churches now all across Santo Domingo. How many? 30. That was Spanish, Julio. I don't know Spanish. All over Dominican Republic, all over Santo Domingo, and then some outside. Okay, let's do just a few more, James. I have written here work uploaded list. I don't know what that means. Work uploaded list. I don't know what I mean by that. So show them. The other thing that this system has is you can, all the recognition that's available, so maybe just show them a few recognition certificates. So all along the way, you're not waiting for us to provide you with recognition things. You're not waiting for some dean to check something off. You can, I haven't completed anything. That's great. So we're going to log in as James. James has only done one thing. Boy, this is embarrassing now. So the users, when they complete different markers along the way, let's see this right here is a marker, so they're taking their path, and when they reach this point, boom, as soon as they get across that threshold, a certificate becomes available, and to them electronically, and it becomes available to their leader electronically as well. You can see what all your people you have in your system. We're going to go back to Felix. Babu Abraham has a lot. You can do Babu Abraham. Abraham, yep, that's him. Now go to him. Certificates in the top right. So these are all his. So just download one and just show it. MasterCraftsman, Doctorate of Ministry. You probably don't know where to go to get that. Here, I'll show you where to go. This is my computer, so it goes, oops.
And see, the idea of stacking, you can see those certificates. When you get a certain amount, they can be stacked and then turned into a larger certification or part of a degree.
So all this is generated for you based off the different pathways. Okay, let's get out of there now. Yeah. Yeah, you learn how to use Mac. Go to that tab, the BILD Cloud tab. Okay, what else do we want to see? I want to see the progress of all the partners and all the cohorts. You remember that one? So I have a little dashboard here that I look at that I can see. No, it's the, I don't know where it is. It shows like ECTA, and it shows all their partners in it, and it shows the bar how far they are with the McC. You know what I mean? Yeah, there you go. There you go. So this is, in this particular one, go down to the bottom, there's 105 users that Bill is coaching in the MasterCraftsman establishment and expansion whole pathways, all the 4 or 5 different pathways in there. These are all the 105 network or leaders that are in that, and I can quickly see the cohort they're part of, the partner they're part of, their progress, the people they have at the first level, the people they have at the second level, and the people they have at the third level. And so one of the things I'm always looking for is how many people are getting things into that second, to all these columns, but certainly we're going to match these column titles up with the appropriate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because right now they're actually just a little bit off. But this is what I often look at just to see how people are making progress. I can quickly see Abraham Matthew has made good progress there. He's got 27 leaders of his own enrolled, and he's making individual progress. See it? So you just scroll through a couple of them, just quickly see. You can see Benjamin's got 1 thing done. Everyone else got nothing except 37 people on that one. You can see Edwin is almost done. He's got 3 people in. You got Elijah Topai, he's got 25, 46, and 21. So he's actually starting to scale it. And him individually, notice he's the one, he's really far almost done, or getting close to done. Okay, keep going. George Chirion's almost done. He's got 53 leaders. He's leading 11 leaders that they're leading. And so it's slowly getting up, slowly scaling. You follow? Okay. I think, is there anything else you guys want to ask or see? Otherwise, Jeff and I close this up. Let's show the system. Go up to the world in the top right. Show the system activity. This is what I showed you a screenshot of a little bit ago. I often look at this. So Martha was on at 11:53. I logged in at 11:51, and Thinagrin got on at the exact same time. The last 3 users that was created, there's 41,287 users now. And look, we have 96,837 projects, which is almost 6,000. Is that 1,000 more that was in my screenshot? That can't be. There's been, in the last hour, there's been 8 new projects that have been uploaded. There's 150 more users since Monday of this week that have been added to the system. So the point is this is like a car dashboard. It just helps you see, from my vantage point, I can see about who's, overall progress we're making, and I can see I can dive in all the way down to the individual and see the progress. And these are tools that are available to you as well. Go to show the map, and then we can be done with this portion. So that looks the same. So you can start diving in. If you scroll over it, it's a little live interaction. It'll show you, who has what in what area. But okay, that's enough, James, I think. Thank you, James. Nobody's going to clap for you, though, because that was a little forced, I guess, wasn't it, Sony? Yeah. All right, Jeff. Have we accomplished the equipping that we wanted to do in the last 2.5 days?
I think so. I just gave. Test? Okay. I just gave my debate team, Sony and so on, going to church in the 1st century, which is that thing that, has this
Publius is his name, I think.
Yeah, he goes with somebody who's a member of a house church. And Dunn, who some of you have read, I think he's the most scholarly thing on the big volumes on the early church, said this is the most scholarly thing out that shows you what the early church was like and how it actually met. And these are marked up. What we did when we went to our switch to churches in the homes, right here, we had, because it's put together as a narrative. If you put the names on it, it's like a play. Yep. And so Nancy actually marked it up with And so then we had a team of people just read it all the way through. And then we just did it in our church again because we have some new young people. And so we take them through the gathering encyclical, because you can do 4 weeks, you got 4 issues, and then take them to read through this so together, so that you get the idea of what it is that we're building.
Yeah.
And so
I referenced this book in that paper
oh yeah.
that I started yesterday. I just have 2 paragraphs about how well researched this is. This is, like Jeff was saying, it's story form, and it's written at a very elementary level for understanding. It's a story. It can be done as a
And it's
skit,
on
a reading in your
small
your
little
church.
booklet, but it's on Amazon too. You can download it off of
It's
Amazon.
a powerful, well researched, but also very accessible piece about going to church in the first century. So tonight we will gather for the banquet. We're going to have a big banquet feast. We've intentionally not scheduled anything in this afternoon, and so that you can rest and that you can prepare and that our people can prepare, because it's quite a heavy lift for our people. So be sure to thank your hosts this afternoon. Be sure to show love to those that have been keeping care of you. And we will see you tonight for the banquet feast.
What time?
What time? 6 o'clock? Does this start? 5:30. 5:30. 5:30 it begins, so 5.5 hours from now. We'll see you at 5:30 tonight for the banquet feast. Come dressed to the nines and we'll have a great time. Bye-bye.